like Daniel Keefe said, a good song takes you far. And I believe that, like Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, they heard it down in Atlanta at a music festival down there or at some convention, and they came up to Keely's booth and asked, "Where's that song, Indian Cars?" And Bono and the Edge and people like that have played the song, and it's been featured on TV and film, and it really opened the door. And and they say if you want to make your dreams happen, the first step is to wake up, and and that happened.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with 7-time Native American Music Award-winning songwriter Keith Secola, who revisits the 25th anniversary of his 1992 album Circle. He talks about recording with members of the Doors and Barenaked Ladies and how his song Indian Cars has become a Native American anthem and a favorite at weddings around the world. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better. Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us all the way from Sparta, Minnesota, Keith Secola.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hey. Yeah. All right.
All right. Connie's first to the party for joining us from Richfield. Hi, Connie. And welcome to our weekly musical happy hour. Every week we gather together, inviting some of our favorite artists to revisit old records with us. And because it's happy hour and because we're ringing in the weekend, no matter when or where you are tuned in from, we're going to enjoy some beverages, enjoy some tunes and some conversation. And Tony, are you enjoying any kind of beverage or snack today?
Yeah, I am enjoying Minneapolis's finest tap water.
Excellent.
But I'm enjoying it in my Back Catalog Listening Party pint glass, so it tastes all the better.
Awesome.
Cheers to you.
Awesome. And I'm enjoying some Cabernet on this kind of chilly fall evening. Thought that sounded good to warm things up. Keith, are you enjoying anything?
Makade Mashkiki Wabu. It's another word for coffee in Ojibwa.
Excellent. Always a good choice. And we know we'll be talking about this in a little bit, but we know you have to fuel up because you have a busy week ahead and some rehearsing to get done. But let's see, we have Chris joining us from Savage, Minnesota, watching the happy hour with a nice Italian red wine. Sounds good. And Joe checking in from Minneapolis with a well-chilled Surly NA right next to my mouse. I'm hoping that, by the way, that's your computer mouse.
I would think so.
Not a critter, hopefully. But thank you all. Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. We're really excited to get Keith here on the show. He has a very impressive bio and resume, and we're gonna revisit one of his records. But Keith, for people who maybe aren't as familiar with your music, maybe you could give a brief origin story about where you grew up and how you fell into making music.
I grew up on the Iron Range of Minnesota, a little town called Parkville, between Virginia and Mount Iron. I started playing music in a marching band and a grade school band. I played the trombone. I switched over to bass trombone when I was a senior or in the senior high band. And I loved the bass trombone because it was a bass part. A lot of the bass notes were bass notes that kind of preempted the whole shift to rock and roll. My mother would always get rum and sale guitars, and I'd always pluck them around the house, but no one knew how to change the strings or knew how to change the strings and even sometimes even tune the guitar, but it didn't stop me. I'd make up little inuets and little riffs and things like that. And when I was a senior in high school, I saved up my money my summer of the senior year, saved up $500, and I hitchhiked to Hibbing, Minnesota, where I bought my first Marauder guitar. A Marauder guitar, it's a Gibson Marauder. I still have the guitar 50 years later. And I have the old Vibro Champ. It was a little Fender champ, and I really didn't know how to play it, but I really wanted to play guitar. I knew a few chords. I think the first riff I learned was "Don't Fear the Reaper" by
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it kind of it has spring my rock and roll career, and and from there, I went to junior college down at North Hennepin, played baseball down there. Skipped back to Mesabi Community College, out to Colorado for a year, and I lived out there at CU at Boulder University. I came home and finished my college degree at the University of Minnesota, where I studied American Indian Studies, a little bit of pre-law, native law, and things in that. And I started playing in a band up here. We were called the Schwartz Brothers, an original rock band. We would do covers, and from there, yeah, there's some of the original band members. The singers here tonight with us. I'm playing a banjo in there.
All
Tip
right.
my hat off to the host here, Mother
Yes. And
Very
Banjo.
good.
Tony, he's a banjo player
Oh,
too.
both of
So
you guys.
great.
That was a
Fantastic.
incredible intro.
Oh,
And
thank
so I
you.
started playing all kinds of music and appreciating it. And then I went and kind of started my own thing, doing solo work, doing with other guitar players. Started a band in the late 90s or early 90s called Wild Band of Indians. And it was a native band, all native lineup. And we'd play at festivals around Turtle Island and kind of just kept on going and got into the studio. And I quit my day job in 1992 just to play music full time, and I'm really grateful and blessed and humbled about that fact. And it keeps on happening. I say there's no guarantees if you play the long game, which I'm playing, other than that you can play it. And so,
Mhm.
I'm playing the long game, and it seems like at this age in mine and stage in career, it seems like everything is opening up. I had a Jerry Garcia told me before he passed. He told me that good music slips through the cracks, and America will get your music, Keith. Keep playing it.
Mm.
Nice.
And he'd play NDN Kars before, or the album Circle before the Grateful Dead shows. Side
Oh,
A would
cool.
play. I remember seeing it in a few places and thinking, oh, I should have mastered that song. Master
And
the album, but he was encouraging, and that kind of came from that, like Daniel Keefe said, a good song takes you far, and I believe that, like that the song. I sent it up to my friend in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, and he brought it to Keeley Radio Station. It's a very key native radio station in Turtle Island, and he said before he was at the end of the driveway, he heard it on the air, and it kind of spring load, and I got all kinds of comments from there, like Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. They heard it down in Atlanta at a music festival down there or at some convention, and they came up to Keely's booth and asked, "Where's that song Indian Cars?" And people
Hmm.
like that, and Bono and the Edge, and people like that have played the song, and it's been featured on TV and film, and
Wow.
with other songs. Right now, there's a version on the TV series called Dark Winds. It's in a final climax of season 3, and hope to get more songs in season 4 on that TV series. So it kind of opened it up, and I wrote the song and it took me 10 years to learn it, like how to play it live, mixing the electric 49 part, the chant part that you hear, um, mixing that into rock and roll chords and progressions, and it really opened the door. And I recorded that at the end of the 80s, and just thinking that you could do it. And
Mm.
they say if you want to make your dreams happen, the first step is to wake up, and
Hmm.
and that happened. And so
Yeah.
I thank you for asking, and
Oh.
I'm grateful for it.
Well, this couldn't be a better intro than to play this song, which is one of the ones that you picked to feature from this album, Circle, the album came out in 1992, so right when you were sort of really committing to a career in music, and it's pretty amazing that this song was on this record and came at that time. Probably a nice affirmation that you were on the right path. We're going to take a listen to this song, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. But let's take a listen.
All right. This is Keith Secola, NDN Kars, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Is this a tape? I've been driving in my Indian car, with the pound of the wheels drumming in my brain. My dash is dusty, my plates are expired. Please, Mr. Officer, let me explain. I got to make it to a powwow tonight. I'll be singing 49 down by the riverside, looking for sugar, riding in my Indian car. Got my T-bird in the glove box, I ain't got no spare. Got a feather from an eagle, I ain't got no care. The road is empty in my bottle of desire. Daylight is breaking, the sun touches fire. I got to make another powwow tonight. I'll be singing 49 down by the riverside, looking for sugar, riding in my Indian car. Car is dented, the radiator steams. One headlight don't work, the radio can scream. I got a sticker that says Indian Power. I stuck it on a bumper, that's what holds my car together. We're on a circuit of an Indian dream. We don't get old, we just get younger. When we're flying down the highway, riding in our Indian car. We're on a circuit of an Indian dream. We don't get old, we just get younger. When we're flying down the highway, riding in our Indian cars. Riding in our Indian cars. Riding in our Indian cars. Go ahead, go ahead.
All right. That was Keith
Nice.
Secola with NDN Kars or Indian Cars. And for those of you listening to the podcast version of the show, it's spelled NDN Kars with a K. But of course, when we say it, it sounds like Indian Cars. And so great. So many things going on in that song, Keith. You mentioned the chant. What is the chant that we're hearing?
Well, it's the vocable part that I hear. Yo, hey, hey, that part is an electric 49. You know, like you can play it on your guitar, and it's 49 music is a genre of native singing that is more of a social type of singing. The idea of where the word 49 came from was there were 50 Omaha Indians that went off to the Second World War, and 49 of them came back, and they sing in honor of the one that didn't. And so it kind of created this whole genre where so all these tribes would come together for like during the war, but all the tribes they couldn't speak to each other's language, and so they used English, as the common language, and so it have native melodies with English words and things like that, and so that whole idea of 49 kind of came. I'll be singing 49 down by the riverside,
Mm-hmm.
more of a social thing common. Sometimes after a powwow, Native people will get together and have a little party, a little bit of fun and libation and meet people. And so all that has meaning to Native people and non-Native people. It's a social song and a non-secular song for everybody. And so that's a nod to the singing 49. That's what that means. And
Thanks.
so I put an electric 49 in there, that. So
Nice.
it has a little bit more depth to the song, like a deeper intrinsic understanding. And I think that's why a lot of people like it, because it isn't Native culture isn't at the beginning of a song or at the end, but it's intrinsically inside and woven through the song with the lyrics. And of course, I got a sticker that says Indian Power. I stuck it on my bumper that holds my car together. Kind of like the richness of being poor, which was the original connotation of the humorous part of Native life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what's so great about the song is that I think it speaks to like I think even people who don't know all the history of the 49 and all of that just get excited by the music and they catch those lyrics that feel very relatable, which is so great. But I know in your this song has been referred to as the Native American, like a Native American anthem, and you already said it's really traveled the world in a lot of ways. It's pretty exciting.
I'm pretty honored about that. Like if you went to any ethnic wedding or something like that, if you went to a Mexican wedding, they'd play certain songs, that are, if you went to a Ukrainian wedding, or they'd play them songs, or you go to a Native wedding and they'll play that song and other songs, like part of the staple, what people listen to. And, we'll party. I was in New York City a couple weeks ago, and my cab driver was from Tibet. And he looked up my name on his computer right away and on his phone, and he listened to Indian Kars. He says, I'm gonna play this at my wedding."
I
So,
love it.
yeah, so
Tibetan
it
weddings
was
too.
good. Yeah, Tibetan wedding.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
Well, I want to point out that there's also a really interesting and cool illustrated video that's attached to this. I found on your website when I was prepping for this that I wanted to point people to. If you're listening to the podcast version, we'll put a link to it in the show notes. But it was some great illustrations, but also some serious stuff in there too, talking about just the consequences of car crashes and things like that. That's another element of this. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, it was kind of the first ride. A lot of Native infants maybe don't ride in a car seat from the hospital to the home, and so it was to bring awareness about that, and the awareness about protecting our children. Driving in a car, a lot of time roads weren't so great on reservations and things, and it was easier to get into a wreck. And so we want to protect that precious life of our children, not just Native children, but all children, and supply car seats and safe rides. And so that was very significant. And I was asked to be part of it, and of course I agreed. And another cool thing is the subtitles are in Ojibwa, and that was really a fun thing to do. I did it with a traditional speaker up in Thunder Bay, and helped me translate this song. And I've heard language programs do it, and I've heard kids at the LCO Indian schools sing it in Ojibwa, and
Excellent.
that's really a cool thing to hear. But that was the thing, the first ride thing, and protecting our infant children from their first ride from the hospital to home, and
Yeah.
supplying car seats and helping fund some of them programs.
Excellent. Well, once again, we'll put a link to that at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
And speaking of kids, one of the you were nice enough to share some great photos earlier. We seen one of you with the banjo, which we'll again share in the show notes at backcataloglisteningparty.com. But you also shared this wonderful photo. And who's this little guy that we're seeing resting on your guitar case?
This is my grandson, Io. You spell it Ayo. And in Choctaw or Creek, it means hawk, little hawk. And I just get a kick out of him because he's resting on a guitar case, looks like he's looking at lyrics or something like that. And this is only a few years ago too. So I just love that picture, of one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah. And so, well, you mentioned that he might be looking at lyrics and he's hanging out, looking very comfortable in that guitar case. Is that because is he feeling the musical bug, or is it just that it's, he's trying to keep that guitar case closed?
That's a good question. I think the bug, I think he's, the music's in him. I see him singing. We went to the Minnesota State Fair, and he was listening to some music, of course, rap music, and he's making with his hand gestures and thinking like, where does this come from? And I just love it, and you kind of appreciate all genres of music.
Hey there, would you like to be part of the live show? Well, become a member of the Back Catalog Listening Party Patreon, and you'll get a backstage pass to weekly online tapings where you can ask the artist questions and participate in the live chat with a fun community of like-minded music nerds. You'll also get a first look at upcoming guests and receive invitations to special live streams and private after parties. So join the party today at patreon.com/backcataloglisteningparty.
Well, speaking of all genres, definitely heard a lot of different styles going on in that last song. Certainly some rock and roll. But tell us a little bit about where you recorded this album. And
that song, I recorded the album all over, in Tempe, Arizona, in Minneapolis, and today I'm recording like in Philadelphia, recorded down in North Carolina, in Florida. But this particular song was recorded in Tempe, Arizona by Radical Records. And the backup band was a native band called the Sand Creek Band from Ethatee, Wyoming. The Ridgely brothers, there are three brothers, and a female singer came down. And I asked my friends to come up with some money, kind of like before the where you could have fundraiser things and that. I called a few of my friends. I think we raised $900 for the studio to go in there 2 days, and to put it on 2-inch analog tape at that time was really a rich, beautiful song. And I was so glad I made that step. I was working a day job, looking out the window, and I knew I wanted to play music. Like Woody Guthrie said, many a good song has been written on the job. And it was like that, like, okay, I want to make these dreams happen. I want to make a living playing music. I felt like you can make a difference going into a school as much as a difference with a briefcase or a guitar case. And for me, it was the guitar case that I wanted to carry into the school. And, I feel very blessed that I've been able to even play at a few schools up here in the Northland. A few days ago, we played in Southridge. It's just outside Duluth. And yesterday we played in Babbitt, Minnesota for elementary kids and high school kids. And they just went wild. It was a lot of fun.
That's so
Get them to
important.
clap along and sing along, and did the round dance for them and a hoop dance. I had other presenters, and it was pretty wild.
that's great. It's so wonderful to get the music out there to everyone. And there's no better audience than kids.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just
And
get so excited by the music. So
my other grandson's name is Nkosi, and he's older than him, and he loves the music too. And my daughter Marguerite and son Keith, or they got native names. Marguerite's name is Makadewi Gabikikwe. It means black standing woman. And my elder, who gave me her name, gave Marguerite her name. She was from Panema Red Lake, and she gave her two names. One, the first name was Bishikwe, means a mountain lion woman, or a, a, a bobcat woman, or something like that. And then she gave her the black standing woman, and she told me, you'll know when she has that name. And she graduated from Cornell University, and Mia Angelou was speaking at the graduation ceremonies, and she was standing on a field with a black robe on her. And it was that instant that Angie told me 20 years before that you would know when she gets that grown name. And there it was, there it was. My son's name is Mino Mashkiki Wash Khan. It means he has good medicine. He makes people feel good. And I feel very grateful to give my grandchildren Indian names too. And Ogini Wentz and Gabi Kwe. Ogini Wentz is little golden eagle, and Gabi Kwe is Gabi Boon. It means winter maker. And he was born in a fierce winter in Minnesota a couple of years ago. And so it's a beautiful thing that our elders pass on to us, and culturally and things. And so that's a lot in that picture. You see him on a guitar case, and he just loved when I played guitar for him, and he'd come up and strum along. And I try to enrich our little children like that, not just my grandchildren, but all the children that I perform for.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we really believe that music is the universal language of all humans, and we appreciate how it crosses all the boundaries. It's one of the few things that kids with no language can speak.
Yeah. And actually Tony's hat, which he wears most weeks here, courtesy of another great Native artist, Alexa Dawson. It says music is medicine, which we really believe here at the Back Catalog Listening Party. And right now we want to hear more music from this record, because there's so much that we're going to try and get to. And this is another one. Again, we're revisiting songs from Keith Secola's 1992 release, Kokopelli. Circle. And this song is Kokopelli Blues. Is there anything you want to say about it before we take a listen?
Just that John Densmore from the Doors is on the drums, and Jim Cregan from Barenaked Ladies on bass guitar.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's give it a spin. This is Keith Secola, Kokopelli Blues, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Seems like there's a lot of cheap imitations out there. Every cool dude has a different mood. Each time you turn the musical page, another new face becomes a rage. But me, I only sing the blues. Slide down a jazz swing, play my flutes. Every day another new gimme. Impersonators trying to mimic. Avoid the word, just wanna cruise. Everyone wants to win, and no one wants to lose. These sack of seeds are trying to lose. Kokopelli has a blues. An esoteric factory went up the other day, using my symbol as their image, depicting the new age. Intellectual copyright means nothing to these cats. People like to take, but they don't like to give back. Out on the garden terrace, I water my beans. Somewhere far away, selling on a market. Some watered down beans, impersonated as a real thing. Never had the pleasure of hearing a real cat sing. There's a time thing to do, to sing the blues. Come to a place to play your flute. If you can't be someone else, wants to engage Mother Earth, waiting for miraculous birth of Frybread Messiah, Quinn the Inuit. Where's the father, son, when you want to quit? Out there on the high road, I played my notes. Out there on the mesa, I sow my oats. It's not really that I wanted it that way. The canyon lands, all the playgrounds I play. Avoid the work, just wanna cruise. Everyone wants to win, and no one wants to lose. These sack of seeds, I'm trying to lose. Kokopelli has a blue. These sack of seeds, I'm trying to lose. Kokopelli has a blues.
All right. Keith Secola with Kokopelli Blues from his 1992 album Circle, which we are revisiting today with Keith joining us live. And I love the swing to that song.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's you playing the flutes?
Yeah, that's me playing the flutes, and that's John on the drums. You know, went into the studio going to play it slow, but John said, "Are we making a 45?" And he double timed it. It was.
I would love to hear about your, kind of your approach to the flute on this song. I mean, it sounded to me like you were also playing the electric guitar on that flute. Like, do you approach it like a guitar? How do you approach, your flute playing?
Yeah, that one, like it has certain notes on there that it's not the fingering. I wanted to finger the notes to get the idea a little bit different than just a pentatonic scale, a 5-note scale. But even though it is, I think on that song I played a reed flute. It's from the Cherokee have reed flutes that are 5 holes, and so I played it in a kind of a unique way of getting that da-da-da, these intervals. And, I wanted to pay tribute to Kokopelli was a Hopi deity that had a lot to do with fertility and hope. And they say the sack of seeds that you see on Kokopelli's back, you'll see a lot of pictures of him, New Age pictures, but it's seeds on his back. It's like he looks like a humpback. A little bit about cultural exploitation even, and misappropriation and appropriation, a little bit about the deeper thing, an esoteric factory went up the other day, using my symbol as their image, depicting the new age, like intellectual copyright means nothing to these cats. People want to take, but they don't want to give back. And so it's kind of like a metaphorically way of getting at a lot of these deeper subjects. And it was great. It was the first time John played in a studio since the Doors, and he brought his sizzle cymbal out to that session, and it was kind of unique, and like I feel pretty blessed about that. We wrote and recorded that song out in L.A., and so me and my bass player Jim Vickers, who's playing guitar on there, we run from Tempe. We took a car and took our instruments and got John from he lives near Santa Monica, and Jim Cregan was out there working on an album with the Barenaked Ladies at that time. We got him into a studio in LA, and it didn't take us long to lay down that track.
Was it written with that kind of swing in mind? Did it always have that
kind
vibe?
of it? Yeah, I was writing the jazz chord.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of writing the jazz chords, and it kind of the swing kind of brought it to it, like when he kind of sped the tempo up a little bit, and it sounded good, and so we just kind of went with it.
Yeah,
love it.
Well, and I also love when you're talking about the lyrics and some of these kind of things about using images and original work. It feels very timely. I know this, again, I don't know when you wrote the song, but it was released in 1992, but it feels really relevant right now with AI and all this stuff about people's images and words being used without their permission. It feels very timely once again.
Yeah, I think the re-release is what we're listening to. and I think it was recorded a little bit later than that, but not too much. And the re-release was 25. I think we released it about 5 years ago. So um, it was a reissue of Circle, but I put a few extra tracks on there, like Kokopelli Blues and
Mhm.
Book of Life, because being an independent artist, it was always a little bit hard for people to get on my where to get my music, like,
Mhm.
and I didn't play that game so well, but so I teamed up with Don Giovanni Music in Philadelphia, and so they could put it on platforms that I really didn't have access to or didn't really know how to do or wanted to take the time to learn it. I just kind of wanted to play and record music, and since then, I think taking care of the business side is very important for artists, and
Yeah.
so that kind of came from that era.
Yeah, and we should mention that if you want to get a copy of this album, and again, as Keith mentioned, there was a 25th anniversary reissue with some bonus tracks, and you can get that. There's still some CD copies if you go to his Bandcamp page, keithsecola.bandcamp.com, and we'll have, again, a link in the show notes as well. But it's a great way, again, to support independent artists like Keith, and you can hear it on the headphones, which I have to say, there's so much going on in these songs. And actually, Joe commented, damn, I guess this is why God invented headphones. This really rolls you away. So yeah, if you want the full immersive Keith Secola experience, without any AI or any funny business, then buy that CD, and or you can download the digital tracks there as well. Which is what we did. So it's a great way to hear the songs. So,
And like Ellen said, a great way to support the artist and let them know that you appreciate what they're doing.
yeah, for sure. And on that last track, Keith, did I hear some harmony vocals too? Who was
That was
singing?
Jim Cregan. He's a great singer,
Mm,
and Jim laid it down there, kind of his idea, and that was Jim.
nice, nice. Well, if you just joined us for the back catalog listening party, let us know where you're tuned in from. If you're enjoying a beverage or a snack, this is our weekly musical happy hour where we invite different artists to revisit old records. And today, Keith Secola is revisiting his album that originally released in 1992 called Circle. And we got a question. Keith, are you writing any songs reflecting any current societal issues close to your heart?
Yeah, I've always been writing songs. This year, I wrote a song, "Moon Rising." It, and it seems like songs write themselves. I say there's two parts of songwriting, and kind of using the concept of a dream catcher. In native culture, they have these dream catchers that catches dreams, and it has a little hole in the middle of the dream catcher where good dreams can only go through the infant or the grand child. But I call these things called song catchers. You write songs, and then the work has to happen where you write the lyrics about these kind of things. Like I wrote a song called "Say Your Name" about the boarding school issues that Native Americans experience in the parochial schools and the abuse and missing and murdered Native women, and writing songs that are serious. And I like to use satire and humor to get at some of the things. I've always said, lead people gently to a brutal truth and let them kind of come up to their explanation of that. Let them come to that truth, and I am writing songs. I feel great that songs are still coming to me.
Yeah. Well, we are grateful for that. And speaking of new songs, we should mention that one of the reasons you're in Sparta, Minnesota right now at Sparta Sound, which, by the way, is a great recording studio run by Rich Mattson, and many of our back catalog albums that we've featured on the show have been recorded in this very studio. And this is a new project that you have out now, Keith, called Ranger. Well, the band is Rangers. The name of the album is Ranger. It came out today, actually, available on
Congratulations.
Bandcamp, and it's a collaboration between 9 different songwriters from the Iron Range in northern Minnesota. Is there anything else you want to say about this new project that you're just releasing?
Well, we're rolling it out, in the next few months and things, and doing a little mini tour the next few days. And feel pretty proud of this idea because it came as an idea, and now we actually have the CD. We have some real goodwill gestures, from the Boys Ford Native tribe to the non-native communities up here, and supporting artists on both sides. And it's an important album, I think, like it'll stand through time, to feature all these songwriters from up there. And so it's something I'm very proud of. We recorded at Sparta Sound here. Rich Mattson did the sound. Tom Greneau from Auto Active Music, formerly Paisley Park, did the mastering, and Copycats in Minneapolis. Thank you, Ellen. Gave us the CD duplications, and hopefully in the springtime we'll have some vinyl, and maybe we'll even put out some cassettes.
All right.
Yeah. Very, very excited about that project. It's sounding really, really good. But you know what else is sounding good?
Yeah.
This old record. And that's what we love to do, is revisit old records here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And the next track you picked to feature is Underground Overdose. Is there anything you want to say about this?
I think the juxtaposing of lyrics says it.
All right. Let's give it a spin. This is Keith Secola, Underground Overdose, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Suicide wish did not come true. You do unto others, they do unto you. You say you don't have to ride, you say you don't have to stand in line. You wanna give in without surrendering. What makes you wanna think that I get a kick on you? What makes you wanna think that I play a trick on you? It's another underground overdose coming true for you. Underground overdose coming true for you, true for you. Peace of mind, something to say, take some time. And heaven is something that you make. Hell is something every day you take. What makes you wanna think that I get a kick on you? What makes you wanna think that I play a trick on you? It's another
Waiting for that last fade out.
Nice.
Some great psychedelic sounds there from Keith Secola. Underground Overdose from his 1992 album Circle, which we're revisiting today with Keith joining us. Connie, digging the sounds. Great sound. Yeah.
Is there a little punk rock in your background, Keith? Because that really felt, I was feeling those vibes.
I love punk rock music, the brutal honesty of it, you know. And I was listening to maybe a little T-Rex too at the same time.
Nice.
You can hear that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and got a question here in the live chat. Are your performances a blend of acoustic and electric, or does it just depend on the tour you're doing?
Yeah, I think they are. I've been doing a lot of solo shows, so been using my acoustic guitar, and with smaller ensembles of musicians. For this Ranger tour, we'll be playing a lot of electric guitar. But yeah, it's a good question, and it's a good blend of music.
Yeah. And from my count, I was trying to count all the different instruments you've mentioned today on the show. You started with trombone, guitar. We saw banjo in there, flutes. I think you mentioned bass. Are there any other instruments that you play or that you want to learn how to play?
Well, I was, I play keyboards a little bit or piano. On that guitar, on that song, there was a tempora. It was an East Indian instrument, just this three thing, kind of like a sitar kind of stuff. I was recording at a studio where the engineer was really into that type of music, and he had all these string instruments along, and so I would just learn how to play well enough to put a track on the song, you know. And so
add a little texture.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly sounding good. And are there any instruments that you kind of, dream of playing one day?
Well, I think I just need to get a little better at a guitar and get a little better. I mean, a piano and the keyboards and things like that. I used to blow a lot of blues harp, and that was one of my first instruments. And I kind of been shifting to native flute, but those two instruments were the woodwind or the wind instruments that I play. And I guess just getting better at that. I'd like to, get more psychedelic. I did a couple songs that I recorded that are kind of hip hop, electronica music, that kind of stuff. I just love to venture off in new directions.
Well, it's wonderful to hear.
Yeah,
hear that you still have so much adventurousness to your music, and that it's only getting more so, which is so cool. I want to take this moment to mention again, you can follow Keith Secola and his music and all the ways it exhibits itself by going to Secola.com. That's SECOLA.com. And again, you can pick up this album we're revisiting today and other records at his Bandcamp page. And it's a great way to support Keith and whatever next musical project is to come, as well as fuel up that NDN Kars so he can get to the next show. And we also want to take this opportunity to thank the people that make this show possible through their contributions. Our Patreon community has supported this show for 5.5 years. We've been doing this show the last year as a podcast, and these are the folks that make it all happen by supporting it. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Christy, Diane, Hetty, Sandy, Neighbor, Ann, BZ, Paul, Cynthia, Ross, Mike, Eric, and Stephanie, and maybe you. If you'd like to join our mighty crew that keeps the party rolling every week, then you can join our Patreon community. And when you do, you get invites to all the live tapings, so you can ask the guest questions. You get first notification of all the upcoming guests and podcasts. And you can also get, while supplies last, that back catalog listening party pint glass. You have to fill it yourself, either with water. I can
bottle up some Minneapolis tap water too and send it with you. So.
Yeah. So you can get that as well. But mainly, thank you for being here. Your ears are what make the party so special. So thank you. The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com. We have time at least for one more song. This one is Frybread, which I've heard before. I know it seems to be one of your more popular songs. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Yeah, Frybread. Bread is a universal symbol of love, and so that's what the song is about. Love, like Frybread was survival food. Like it's not that healthy for you all the time, but you kind of eat it communally, and it's subsistence. I know, like on the movement and things, like it's a tongue-in-cheek humor. I talk about different types of bread in there, cornbread, rye bread, wheat bread. I like the bread called gabubu bread, peaky bread. It's kind of like a trip around the diversity of Native culture.
All right, let's give it a spin. This is Keith Secola, Frybread, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
He said that she said, he said that you said, he said, she said that she said, you said, she said that you said, he said, she said. All I'm asking for, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread. He wants to settle down out on the edge of town, far from the neon lights, under the stars so bright. The fire glows and flickers between the cactus prickers, out on the edge of town. He wants to settle down. All I'm asking for, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread. He likes his cornbread bannock, tortillas hot fanatic, cookie bread pop of his pumpernickel, oven bread, rye bread with a pickle. Croissants and pastry, taste tasty, he doesn't seem to mind. A mile-long fry bread line, 'cause we're all the same inside. We need fry bread all the time. All I'm asking for, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread, fry bread. Give me some sopapillas, bagels would be nice. Crazy for that pita bread, jalapeno pepper bread, fry bread.
All right.
Nice.
I love that final tour of various breads, and I'm in for all of them, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a carb lover, so bring it all on. And especially with the winter time coming here in Minnesota, I feel like I got to store up for the winter,
Yeah, I was digging on some of those alt country sounds in there, some fiddle, and was that pedal steel I heard in there too?
Yeah, it was. I recorded it down in Tempe, and some of Glenn Campbell's band were in there. He was recording at the studio I was at, and I think it must be, I don't know if that's Joe Savage on the steel guitar. It could have been, or it could have been someone down there, but a lot of Glenn's band played the rhythm tracks and the fiddle tracks and things like that. So it was
That's
really
awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds super sweet. And again, showing that eclecticism that's always present in your music. I also really loved the hearing the harmonica, kind of the call and response. And I know
Yeah.
I've heard some live versions of this song and folks often yelling that kind of Frybread back. Um, but I like hearing the harmonica version is kind of nice.
Yeah, Hans Olsen, he's a blues relic in Arizona. He came in the studio and blew the harp for us.
Oh, sounds super, super good.
So good.
Folks loving it, by the way.
Yeah.
The comments are flying in here in the live chat. Boot stumping, Cajun hootenanny. And actually on last week's, or on a recent podcast with New Riverside Ramblers, we were talking about the connection between Cajun and country music. And then some other comments. Whoop, love that bread. Yep. Tasty, tasty stuff. And I do want to ask about this album cover art because it's so beautiful. And who did this lovely drawing, which has kind of some Southwestern vibes on it?
Rena House, she lives
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Rena, I got the idea. I brought some floral patterns to her, and I would say I want this pattern, and I kind of did a rendering of an Indian car, and so she came up. She's a brilliant artist, and she came up with the Arizona cactus, the four peaks, the like there's an Indian drum on there, the full moon singers, kind of where a moon would be in that picture, the setting sun, cactus prickers. The license plate's got a song called "Andy Was a Bat." It's kind of in there's a clothes hanger antenna on that car, and kind of it's eagle feathers hanging from the rearview mirror, and so it's a magical thing. And I made tie-dye t-shirts out of that drawing, and
nice.
man, I sold a bunch of them. Like Robbie Robertson had one, Jerry Garcia had one. I gave one to each member of U2. A lot of little kids have them, and it's still a collector's item to this day, with that symbol on there. Yeah.
So if you find it, folks, you gotta get a t-shirt. But luckily the CD you can get if you go to Bandcamp. You can get this great artwork. And Rena House, I just want to mention, is not just a great visual artist, she's a great musician here in Minnesota as well. So really cool to see all these different artistic contributions from these folks. Again, if you go to the Bandcamp, Keith Secola's Bandcamp page, you can order the album, and you can see this artwork as well as part of our show notes, along with these other photos we've shared on the show today. So if you're listening to the podcast, when you have an opportunity, go to backcataloglisteningparty.com and you'll find everything you need, the links, the pictures, all the good stuff about Keith Secola and this album Circle, which we've been revisiting today. Folks loving the show. This has been such a treat, Keith, to talk about these songs with you.
Now, Keith, there was some chatter going on behind the scenes here. You had sent another version of NDN Kars to us that was a really short, kind of a punk rock version. Would you have time to stick around and give that a spin to close out the hour?
Sure.
All right. Well, as soon as that was suggested, I thought I would think that would be the perfect kind of bookend to the show. Is there anything you want to say about this version? Like, how did this version come about?
Well, it's my son on drums, Keith Jr., and his friend Joey Doherty on guitar, and my friend Jim Vickers and myself, a couple young punks and a couple old punks. And
I
so,
love it.
so it's only 2 minutes. So spin it.
All right. Well, we're going to take us out here with another rendition of NDN Kars from Keith Secola here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Spies, little gleams is closer, let me explain. We got to make it to a flower of the night on the Singapore high, down by the riverside, looking for sugar, riding in my Indian
Keith Secola. Yeah, that's right. That's the way to close out the show.
Keep getting younger. I heard that.
Yeah, the punk rock version of NDN Kars. It just goes to show that song can be probably given any treatment and it will sound great, whether it's just sort of a blues song or sung at a wedding. And I like to think that maybe this punk version might be played at somebody's wedding, so as well. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining us today to talk about this record, Circle. And thanks to all of you for joining us, whether you've joined us for the live show here on YouTube or to all of you listening in the podcast version. Thank you for your ears. And if you liked the show as much as we did, give it the thumbs up, review it, subscribe to it, because if you subscribe to Back Catalog Listening Party, you'll find out when we drop the next episode, which will be next week. We don't know what it is, but it will be fantastic.
We promise. Yeah. But thanks again, Keith, for spending an hour with us, sharing your music, sharing your stories. Once again, I feel so much better.
Music is medicine.
And really appreciate it.
Miigwech Black Catalog. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Cheers, everybody.
All right. Until next week. Cheers. Thanks for joining us on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, which helps more people discover our show and our guests.
And do you want to be a part of the live show, get a first look at upcoming guests, and receive invites to private online parties and live streams? Then join our Patreon community at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
Have a great week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party.